Good afternoon, students. This is Prema, your biology teacher from BRGS. Welcome to my biology class. We are discussing in the lesson that is improvement in food resources. Today in this class, we are going to study in detail about the animal husbandry. First, let's move on to the definition of animal husbandry. That animal husbandry includes cattle farming, goat, sheep, poultry farming, and fish farming. All it includes under animal husbandry. Let's move on to the definition of animal husbandry. Animal husbandry is a scientific management. We are following scientific methods here of domestic animals in an efficient manner to obtain food and other useful products from them. What do you mean by animal husbandry now? Animal husbandry is a scientific management of domestic animals. We are using domestic animals in the particular method. We are managing the domestic animals in the scientific method for the food and other useful products, that we call it as animal husbandry. Next, purpose of cattle farming. What are the purpose? What are the uses for the cattle farming here? We will get milk and ploughing fields, bull calf for transportation. We are using mainly for the three purposes: for getting milk, ploughing fields, bull cart for transportation. Next, here the two types of cattle are there. Cow, it is also called as Bos indicus. Buffalo, we call it as Bos bubalis. Okay, these are the two types of cattle we are using under the cattle farming. Let's move on to the cattle farming. Here, three types of animals are there: milch animals, draught animals, and lactational period. What do you mean by milch animals? These includes milk producing animals. Under the milch animals, only milk producing animals are there. That is, only female cattle comes under milch animals, only giving milk. Next come to draught animals. These animals which do not produce milk, we are using only for the agricultural purpose, that is called as draught animals. Next come to lactational period. The period of milk production between birth of an young one and the next pregnancy is called lactational period. It is very important. The period of milk production between birth of an young one and the next pregnancy is called as lactational period. This is about three types of animals we are using under the animal farming or in the cattle farming, which are those milch animal, draught animals, and lactational period. Next, care of cattle. How do we take the caring of the cattle? See here, first main thing, that is cleanliness. Roofed shelter with good ventilation. The cattle, they want good ventilation, aeration they want for protection from rain, heat and cold. First we have to maintain the cleanliness in the particular field for the cattle. Roofed shelter with good ventilation, okay, for protection from air, heat and cold. Next, regular brushing of skin of cattle, because on their skin some worms are there, or uncleanliness it is there on the body, no, that's why we are cleaning regularly by using brush for the skin cleaning. Next, sloping floor for shelter for avoiding waterlogging. Okay, here there is no waterlogging. We have to maintain always dry place, dry field for the cattle. That's why we are maintaining the sloping floor for shelter for avoiding waterlogging. Next, what is about food for the cattle? See, roughage mainly containing fiber. More the fiber, it will give more milk. Next, concentrate containing proteins. See, the concentrate we are giving instead of food, no, that contains only proteins. Next, food containing micronutrients. The what do you mean by micronutrients? We are giving proteins and minerals in the form of food. That is called as micronutrients here. For enhanced milk production, for increasing the production of milk, we are giving micronutrient rich food for the cattle here. See, this is the caring of cattle picture. We have to care the cow or buffalo in the scientific manner. Next come to the cattle disease. What are the diseases comes for the cattle? Diseases can be cause death and reduce milk production. The main purpose of the disease, that is the cause for the death and also the reduce of milk production. First point, the disease comes from parasites. Parasites are small organisms living inside or outside the body of another organism, that is called as host, that gives home type of situations. Okay, that we call it as host here. Parasites are small organism living inside or outside the body of the another organism. The another organism, that is called a host here. They derive food from the body of host, that is driving the food inside the body, that is called as parasites. That leads to the reduction of the milk production here. The second diseases comes from the external parasites. These external parasites on skin of cattle cause skin disease. The external parasites present on the external or morphology of an cattle on the outside of the skin, that cause the skin diseases to the cattle. Next come to internal parasite. This is only present inside the cattle. Internal parasites like worms cause stomach and intestine problems, and flukes cause liver problems. These are the some parasites that cause the diseases inside the cattle. Then the diseases comes from bacteria, viruses cause the infectious diseases. What do you mean infectious diseases? Diseases that can be easily transmitted from one to another. These type of diseases can easily transmitted from one person to another person, or from one cattle to the another cattle. That is comes from the bacteria and viruses. That is called as infectious diseases here. Next come to poultry farming. This is also one of the animal husbandry. What do you mean by poultry farming? Poultry farming is done for eggs and meat. That the main purpose for the poultry farming, that is eggs and meat. They both provide protein to our diet. This is very important for our examination also. They both provide protein to our diet. The main purpose is eggs and meat. Broilers. These are the types of birds that grow for obtaining meat are called broilers. Okay, the main purpose of broilers here only the meat production. They can be used after 6 to 8 weeks from their birth. This is also type of chicken. We are using only the meat purpose, that can be used after 6 to 8 weeks from their birth time. Next come to layer. This is also type of chicken. Birds grow for obtaining eggs are called as layers. This is only meant for egg laying. They can be used after 20 weeks when sexual maturity has been attempted to lay eggs. See, we are using these type of chickens for the egg production, that can be used after 20 weeks when the sexual maturity has been attempted to lay eggs. During the sexual maturity, they are laying the eggs after 20 weeks. Okay, most of the broilers and layers are crossbreed. For the maintenance of the meat and egg, we are breeding in the laboratory conditions in between broilers and layers. Next, breeding is done to enhance following properties in hens, like we are maintaining the food or enhancing the food production or egg production. Okay, see here, so many properties are there behind that. More and better quality chicks. We are using quality and better and more and better quality chickens we are using for the enhancement of the food production here. And also we are using low maintenance. Okay, we are using the cost of low maintenance. Next, third point, that is breeding is done to produce dwarf broilers. After the production of breeding, the breeding is done to that produces dwarf means small. Okay, small broilers, that is only meant for the meat. Yes or no? Next, feeding cost is the biggest expense. Feeding cost is the biggest expense in poultry farm. This is the limitation comes under poultry farming. Next, dwarf broilers needs less food and can reduce cost by 30% also. They can tolerate more heat. See, dwarf means small broilers need less food. They want only small amount of food, little bit amount of food, and can reduce cost by 30%. They can also tolerate high temperature or more heat. Thank you. We will continue in the next class.